Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to Spiritual Chat Live. Today, my special guest is Jaymee Jay. I call her the human library because she reads everything, every book, every subject, every topic. You can talk to her and discuss anything, and she has knowledge on everything. And today, we're going to be talking about the power of our words and how you can create your reality, the power of manifestation, the power of using I am, which are the two most powerful words there are. Using your words, wearing your words, like I always wear shirts with strong messages on them. We're just going to talk about a lot of different things today. Jaymee has done a lot of interviews where she's been talking about SRA, MK Ultra. She has a lot of interesting background information. So we're going to be talking about a lot of different things today, but mainly the power of your words, researching, the importance of researching yourself, using your discernment. So welcome, Jaymee.
Thank you. Yeah, me and Angie have talked quite a bit on Telegram and stuff, and she's always giving me really great health advice. And then she asked me to be on the show. And what I normally do interviews and educate on is like mind control, ritual abuse, like programming, stuff like that. So when Angie asked me to be on the show, I was like, well, I'm not really a health expert. But then I was like, well, what could be a bridge of something that, and it was kind of like, well, there's such an aspect of programming to health. And, this kind of a lot of the language they use like in the medical system. And, it's like it is a form of programming and it is a form of mind control. And so, yeah, I thought it'd be interesting if we just kind of met there and sort of started a conversation about this, because it is actually a lot more connected than maybe a lot of people. Well, I think people are starting to realize how connected it is now with some of the stuff that just happened over the last couple of years. But that's kind of where I thought would be a good point to start, just sort of like the connection between those two seemingly unrelated areas of research.
Yeah. If you think about it, we were conditioned that you go to the doctor, you get a pill, and it gets fixed. But it doesn't. It just continues to make you sicker. So when you go back and that pill didn't fix, you come out with 5 new prescriptions, or say that pill caused a reaction. Oh, I'm sorry, that caused a reaction. So let me give you this pill or this pill. So you get 2 or 3 new prescriptions, and it just keeps snowballing. So that is the system. And so the power to heal is not just in the physical, it's in the mental, emotional, and spiritual. That's that whole connection right there. And part of that is in the power of your words and in the power of your thinking and creating your health and your wellness and all of that. So where do you want to start?
Sorry, is there other people in the chat, or I just
Oh yeah, they're over to the side. I hide them.
Okay, sorry, I just didn't know. I didn't want to just hug the whole thing.
So we talk first, and then
okay.
let them do Q&A at the end.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, so I mean, one place to start, obviously is I know a lot of people are familiar with, work by people like Louise Hay and stuff. She has what's it called? Heal Yourself, I think was the name of her book. And she has the chart of kind of like all of the mental thoughts that would go along with physical ailments. And like I said, I'm not like advocating all of her work and stuff, but I will say, like, I've worked in mental health and social work for a long time, and I've seen a lot of people with a lot of problems, physical and mental problems. And I've always kind of had that book as a pocketbook. And when people are talking about certain things, it's almost always been bang on, that connection. Like, she really mapped it out well. Her book's not the only book. I have a few books like that, but I mean, there is very specific ailments connected to very specific thought patterns. It's not random. Like it's very, it's mappable. Like it's been mapped out. So I just kind of find that stuff really interesting. And so that can be used for good or for evil. So with the ritual abuse and programming, and there's a lot of health programming put into people, right? Like there's kind of time-stamped illnesses. There's things that are like psychosomatic that are programmed in. And so these things are really real, and they can be used, either way. They can be used to cause harm, or they can be used to heal. And anyways, my last kind of thought is with the affirmations and stuff, I have some kind of thoughts about that I can go into later about kind of why they're not working the way they're teaching them, because they're teaching people to basically kind of lie to themselves, which causes a lot of contrast to the subconscious mind. And so if you're just like an average person that's maybe 5 pounds overweight, and they tell you to go look in the mirror every day and say, I'm a supermodel, I have a perfect body, like that kind of stuff is kind of what they teach. And that actually doesn't work. I've studied the subconscious mind a lot. Like I've taken my hypnosis training, all that kind of NLP training, all that kind of stuff. I've really been fascinated with the way the subconscious mind works. And a lot of times when you do these kind of over exaggerated affirmations and health affirmations, which, it actually just, your subconscious mind actually starts trusting you less because it can tell you're lying to it because it's contrasting, right? So that's kind of something we can go into later, maybe just like some different ways to sort of use the affirmations and stuff, which are actually effective. Because another thing, sorry, I'll stop, but there's always this self-blame on the individual, right? So they always teach all these things about do this, and if it doesn't work, it's always, well, your fault because you didn't do it right? It's kind of like this blame on the individual. And same with the healthcare. Like if you're not getting better, it's because you're not doing the right things to get better, right? And it's kind of like never really blamed on, the treatment protocols you're following. It's always something you failed to do, which results in it. And that's just another kind of narrative that I'd like to maybe pick apart a little bit too.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you know lots about the head.
Uh, and you were what? I'm sorry.
I'm sure you know lots about that.
Oh yeah. Well, I can
Like
tell you
blaming the person for
my
not, yeah.
personal experience from this was, when I was battling Lyme disease, when I finally got diagnosed after being misdiagnosed for 16 years, and in Western medicine failed me. So, and Western medicine was still failing me in my year of death in 2015. So I was in the hospital. My PICC line had been infected. I had a blood clot. And so I prayed and I said, what am I not doing? What am I not doing that I need to be doing? And so I received this exercise I call release and refill. And a lot of people may frame it differently. I know Max Lowen calls it reframing instead of refilling. But I was told by source, by God, whatever label you want to put on it. Um, I was told to release all of the toxic emotions I was feeling. So I was angry, I was sad, I had guilt, I had shame, I had all of these emotions. Shame and worthlessness are the two lowest emotions a human can have. So I released all these emotions, right? So I was left feeling very empty, void. Like I thought, ugh, I don't like the way I feel. There has to be more to this. So I prayed again. And I was told I needed to refill. So refill with positive affirmating statements, manifesting statements of what I would be. I am healed. I am calm. What is the opposite of angry to me? What is the opposite of shame to me? What is the opposite? And I was told to go, like the beach is my happy place. So I was told to go stand on this plateau at the beach. It was flat on the beach. It wasn't high. It was my job to raise that plateau as I worked on myself and raised my vibration. So, and there was no grass on it or anything. God's light came down on me. I would hold my hands up and I would say these affirmations. And they started out very simply. I am calm. I am healed. I am loved. I am loved unconditionally. Just very simple statements. And I would do this several times a day, all day long, because that's all I had to do. I was in bed. I was sick at the time. I was in the hospital. And so I continued to do this and I would build on this exercise. But I would also do, like with the release, I would do this winding thing where I would wind up and I would say, I am releasing all anger fully and permanently from my body, mind, heart, and soul, and peace, love, and light. And I'd wind it up until it would feel really, really tight. And then I would throw it out to the universe to get it out of me because the right side takes in, the left side releases. And I would do it 3 times. And I would do my refill statements 3 times. And I do it 3 times a day. 3, 6, 9. So, but I didn't make that 369 connection until about 3 or 4 years ago. So anyway, I've had this. That's the problem with in the release and refill can be designed to, you can release anger caused by and connected to a person or a situation or and you can release past lives. There's all different ways that you can do this. And it's the problem with the just saying you're a supermodel, saying all this is, like you said, your energy doesn't lie. And your energy knows that you don't believe that because you still have all these toxic emotions inside of you. Toxic emotions get trapped in your body, in your organs. They cause dis-ease. They cause all kinds of things. They can cause mental illness. They can cause and then you got the whole parasite thing and the chemicals and toxins. We have all these things working against us. So then your frequency gets lowered, your vibration is lowered. You have to remove all this stuff so that you can raise yourself up, raise your vibration, raise your frequency so you can become who you're who you are truly and what you're here to do. So it's a lot of hard work. And most people, you got to face a lot of truths about yourself. You have to, it, a lot of people don't want to do it, but we're in a time right now where you have to do it. You have to do the work now.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think it's so important to be honest with yourself, right? Because
Yes.
and it sometimes people kind of want to just do the easy thing, which is like, well, if I just keep repeating the same thing, it's going to work. And it's like, well, no, you might need to actually sit down and work out why you believe something, why
Right.
you logically know it's not true, even if you have to go get somebody else to explain to you, like, look, you actually don't, this is actually not accurate. Like, I'm seeing you this way, whatever it takes for you to like really believe it, which sometimes can be a lot of work. It can be a lot of being honest with yourself, a lot of journaling, a lot of like
Yes.
allowing yourself to admit, well, maybe I actually am really still, you know, angry about something in grade 4 that I've just been pretending I'm not really angry about. And like, you know what I mean? Like those things are really, it's that exercise in honesty. And I think the way they teach affirmations where it's like you can kind of just overlay, you know, like sugarcoat to yourself and lie, and then it's like not really working. It's like, I think true, yeah, the honesty, and then like because the truth is good, right? Like the truth is good. It's not a lie to tell yourself that you have worth or that you're valuable or that you know you have intelligence or any of these things. Like those aren't lies, those are truth. Like the truth is, you know, like there's a lot of good truth. So whatever it takes for you to actually get to that point is a lot better than trying to just, you know, pump yourself up with this kind of fake, you know, it's a form of denial just to pump yourself up with these fake sort of, you know, things all the time. And I think that's kind of really the way they teach it. A lot of people try that and then they get down on themselves. They're like, well, I wrote it on my mirror and I said it all day, and you know, why didn't it work? And I just didn't say it right, you know.
But most people, the people that are teaching these things, they still need to work on themselves. They haven't. They haven't done the inner work on themselves. They have no clue. They're telling you things because they want to make money off of you. They're trying to get, views, likes, paid on social media. You have to find someone that you need to find someone that will speak to you. That it's really good to find someone that has been through it, that understands it, and that has the patience and the time to work with you and to be able to figure things out. It may take you, like, if that an honest person, like myself, I've told people before, I don't think it's going to work. Like, we're not, I don't feel it. Because if I don't feel that the person's going to put in the effort and the time, they're not ready. I've told people you're not ready for me yet, because I give 500% with my coaching and I expect that back. And when people are truly committed and they're ready to do the work, they will do that. And I'm not like a hard ass or anything, but I will, like, you will see the results if you put the effort in. But it is damn hard work. I've done it. I've done it. And it's very rewarding and you'll be very proud of yourself and your life will change. It will change. Things will fall away. The universe will remove what no longer serves you because you're raising your vibration. The lower vibration, they can't hold on to you anymore because you're not, you're just, your people pleasing goes away. Your boundaries are getting set. You're saying no without apologizing. You're saying no without explanations. You're taking your power back. You're standing in your power. And I see on social media all day long, I see people saying this stuff, but I'm like, you're not telling people how to do it. You're trying to go around the mountain and you can't. You have to work your way through that mountain. You got to get your pick and your axe and like work through the mountain. It's hard work. So, but it is totally doable. And where we're at now with the whole like consciousness rising and where we're moving vibrationally, it's easier than ever to do it. You just have to make the commitment to do it and find the right person to work with.
Yeah, you know, it was interesting because I went to university like in, I think I graduated in 2006, and I mean, I actually had to go to the library and like pull actual paper books out. Like we had the internet, but it was not what it is now. Like you could maybe get the odd random article somewhere or something for your papers, but like it really was, you had to go actually take in all the knowledge and write your papers and stuff. And like now everybody's just like using AI, and like I'm sure nobody's even like going down and getting a paper book anymore. And and like that's okay. Like I think we need to reframe, like, is what's actually the point of going. Not everybody wants to be a walking encyclopedia. That's kind of should be your personal choice. You shouldn't have to do that, if you don't want to. But yeah, just changing the way that knowledge is available now, right? And so, I'm looking now at what is available online for free, like for helping yourself, for health information, for counseling, mental health. There's all kinds of like free CBD courses, like whatever you want to take, whatever you want to learn, if you're motivated. And you don't even have to do it alone. There's groups online. There's all types of like free, so much free stuff. You know what I mean? Whereas before, you had to pay, somebody for that little tiny bit of knowledge and just be totally kept in the dark about like yourself and how your body works and your mind works. So yeah, now I think it would actually require more effort to remain ignorant at this point, which I think people see. There's a percentage of people still putting their energy in that direction, trying to remain ignorant because they think it'll keep them safe to not know things. um, but there's a large percentage of people that are taking advantage of all this knowledge. And yeah, it is a really interesting time in history, like how easy it actually is to access what you need. Not that the work is done for you, but you still have to do the work yourself. But I mean, I don't see a lot of excuse for people, to not be able to access the tools that they need to do what they need to do if they want to do it.
I will caution this because this is how I will gauge if something is right for me to listen to, read to, watch, listen to, whatever. I'm very cautious with what I allow into my energy field because there's a lot of people out there that if it's not truthful, because my my energy is all about truth and I channel truth. So if it's not truthful, I can't listen to it. I can't read it, so I can't watch it. So it will feel like sandpaper on my nerves. So when you are reading something, if you're listening something, you're watching a YouTube channel, you're anything, if it doesn't resonate with your energy, even if you're watching me, I won't get offended. Turn it off because it may be at that time you're not ready to hear the message. It also may be that that message is incorrect. It's not truth or it's half truth or something. I have people all the time sending me stuff and I'm like, no, no, that's not accurate. Or I'll say I can't listen to it because the the vibration of it, the frequency of it, it does not resonate with me and I literally cannot listen to it. So it's you have to use your discernment. You have to feel what's right for you where you are right now. So be aware. And I think like reading like old stuff, going way, way back, old stuff, like, 1800s, 1900s, even like, those kind of books, you're going to find truth in that stuff. But it's, again, you're still going to have to use your discernment with things. So,
That's true. There is kind of a flooding. I think they can't hide the truth from coming out at this point, so they're just trying to flood it with a bunch of, you know, other stuff at the same time, just so the truth isn't really standing out as much. And I totally agree with you, Andrea, about the energetic thing. And personally, I feel that, you know, I just feel like it's harder for people to hide these days. Like I feel like it's just like I don't know if it's just me or maybe some people are like a little more sensitive than others, but to me, I just like because I just moved to a new town and like instantly I just get like a feeling off somebody, and I just don't deny that stuff anymore because I'm like, it's always there. It's always there if you pay attention. It's just like a neon sign. And I think with whatever's going on energetically, it's really a lot harder for people to pull one over. Like it's just not easy to hide anymore. I don't know. I feel quite a few people have agreed with me on that. Like it's just so much more obvious now. Like even I've studied a lot about like psychopaths and sociopaths, and some of them are a little better, but even them, like it's just so obvious to me, like just right away. The kind of it's that slimy energy that is just there. Like even just the first time you to have one word come out of their mouth, it's just that it's a frequency. And sometimes like there was one person that was a sociopath, and I could hear them in the other room, but I couldn't hear what they were saying. But it was literally just the vibration of what was coming out of their mouth. You could just feel it was a manipulative energy, even if you couldn't hear the actual words, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's like with the whole word kind of stuff we're talking about, like there's the actual word, which does have like that vibration behind it, like, and then there's connotation and denotation of words, right? And then they've also changed a lot of the meanings of words, right? Like where,
Yeah.
some of Mark Passio's work where he went around and interviewed people and asked people like what does anarchy mean, right? And people say, oh, it means like chaos and lawlessness, and that's actually not what the word means at all. But it's like we've been programmed with certain words to have a false, lying kind of meaning or energy behind them. So that's another kind of level of the battle, is to actually understand what words really mean.
And the spelling of them. Because
Yeah,
spelling, they've like spelled the word. So like believe has the word lie in it. I mean, there's you can go too
yeah,
deep with all of this, and like then you start getting kind of freaked out about it because you're like, oh crap. Well, then what words do I actually use? Am I supposed to start speaking in a foreign language, like Spanish or something? But it's you start you go in too far deep down the rabbit hole, then you start getting freaked out. So you gotta take one thing at a time. And I suggest the first thing you take is you. You are what you can control, your reactions and how you respond to things. So I it can go way out there, and trusting your gut. And how can you learn to trust your gut? Because I ask people this all the time, because I'll have people, well, what do you see with this, or what do you feel with this? And I'll turn it around on them. I'll say, well, what do you feel? What do you see? I don't know. I don't know. I can't feel anything. I can't trust my gut. I can't. I'm like, okay, then you are way out of balance. Like, that's where the inner work comes in. That's where you've got to work on yourself, because then you can get grounded and balanced and have your boundaries set and be able to trust yourself. That's trusting your gut, being able to know, having that inner knowing inside, and know like, nope, even if you're the only person in the room that feels that way, you can't be swayed, because that's how you feel. And so you will stand alone. That's also critical thinking. So thinking for yourself.
yeah. I've had to learn that the hard way because I've always been really empathic and sensitive, and just like perfect food for narcissists and sociopaths. Like just literally like a neon sign in my head, like your favorite flavor of ice cream. Come and try your stuff on. Like I just was born right perfect for that. So I've had to go through the fire to like learn so much about this, just because I was such a magnet for it that I had no choice than to learn this and master it. Like it was just the universe was like, no, you are going to understand this, and we're going to keep sending in people until you get it. Like it's so yeah, definitely I do believe that happens to certain people. um but yeah, something else that kind of stood out to me about like words and language, and even just listening to you now, Angie, like using words like trust your gut or battling line, like you know what I mean. So it's interesting. Something I've noticed is that in health language through the medical system and stuff, they use military terms, right? Like it's like attacking, battle, like winning, like it's all this kind of military terms. And because I kind of study everything, I had another book that was talking about all the actual military stuff and how they use all medical terms, right? Like they're like, oh, we're gonna go extract the enemy, and like, you know what I mean? Like they use health terms as though they're talking about cancer when they're like going to invade another country, and like you know what I mean? Like it's all medical health language they use for acts of physical war.
Right.
Which I found really odd. And then even if you look at stuff like the economy, like they'll say like a healthy economy, and so they act like these kind of dead fake things are alive and health, but like then they use that the opposite language on us and our bodies as though it's like a battlefield to be dominated, and like it's so that kind of stuff. It's like once you start seeing it, you're like, why is this, but it's when you're not conscious of it that you're just it's internalized, right? So
Yeah. I do understand what you're saying. I do know when I was in going through my darkest times with Lyme, I I had to get into like a warrior type mindset, because it was either me or it. So, and it was, I was battling for my life, really. I was fighting. So I do understand that aspect of it, but I know what you're talking about, because it's like I think they're trying to set us up for like, well, if you ever get sick, this is how you're going to have to deal with it. Like you go into it like with that kind of mindset. But in reality, you do have to do that. You do have to have the determination. And the thing is that Western medicine is designed to keep you sick or to uh, annihilate you. It's not designed to heal you. Natural medicine is, natural ways are, and I've figured that out. We're all mineral deficient, we're all vitamin deficient, we're all, and I have superfoods like everything. I have done it all, Jaymee. I've done it all, and I feel like I have finally, not to be graphic, guys, but I feel like I finally got it by the balls. Like I feel like I finally got it. Like, and I'm on that. I'm on the way. Like I'm there. So, like, do I still have a? Will I always have to watch things and be careful? Yeah, probably because I had a bioweapon. But like I also still have this feeling that where we're raising our consciousness to and stuff, that may not always be a thing either. So I don't have my mind set there where like, oh, it's always going to be like this or it's always, whatever. But there's again the mindset. I have I am creating, well, we talked about that too, like creating your own reality. Most people, I don't think people understand what that means.
Yeah, and I think there's a kind of false version taught of that too, where it's like everybody's creating their own parallel universe. And it's like, well, no, we're actually all in the same soup. Like there is quantum creating that we're all participating in on a together. It's not like we're all, it's not like if I could just imagine myself jumping off a cliff, I'm going to defy gravity because I live in my own universe. Like, you know what I mean? But they kind of teach it that way to some people, like whatever you could, you just have to like, and I think, again, people try to go way further than reality and then it fails. And then they think, oh, I just wasn't getting my vibration right. Or I'd be, breathing underwater right now. And okay, well, people can do that. But anyways, that's another show. But it's like, I think there's these kind of, all this kind of fake stuff. And again, it goes to like you said, there's this kind of, BS being taught and you have to wade through it because a lot of it is counterfeit for like what these things are real, but then there's the kind of fake versions taught that kind of keep people away from the real way this stuff works, right? So yeah, I've studied that kind of stuff too, and I think there's two versions of it. I think there's a real one, and I think there's the kind of fake one that sets you up to fail.
Do you study like quantum physics and stuff? Do you study
Yeah.
like I've read stuff where every time you make a choice, you're creating a parallel universe. If you choose yes, then that no choice created a parallel universe or vice versa. So like because we all have these parallel universes going on and then I went even further where like you have to heal those parallel universes because of like, with emotionally and all of that. So there's what do you think about all that?
It's interesting you say that because I was actually watching some Super Soldier stuff last night and like the time travel stuff. And I actually just ordered a stack of books about Montauk and all this because I really need to wrap my head around a lot of this. I
Yeah.
did read the Seth books that talk about I don't know if you've read the Seth books. They're
Uh-uh.
kind of famous older books. But anyways, you'd probably really like them. But they do explain all like the parallel creating universes and stuff like that. But so yeah, I do think they're, from what I'm understanding, because actually a lot of these Montauk survivors are talking about very similar things like that they have actually figured out by messing around with things. Like it's not just all kind of theory. Like they actually have done a lot of experiments on that kind of stuff. And I guess I would just look at it as a parallel potential universe because like there is time space where something collapses into, but like those potentials are almost more real than the actual thing that collapses into reality because everything in reality is a reflection off of like the virtual is actual real, like the unseen is real, and then when it collapses into an experience it's like a mirror image of it and it's not actually the perfect, it's like a reflection of the real. So those potential universes and potential versions of yourself are actually more real than the one that you're actually collapsing your consciousness into, which sounds really weird, but
Yeah,
Yeah, I love studying this kind of stuff, but then it's like it goes to a certain level where I'm like, I don't know if my brain can hold all this
I
knowledge, but
know.
I
I know your
love
brain
thinking
does
about it.
start to get kind of like, what? It's what about like I tell people to not to, watch your words, watch what you say, because when you're working on manifesting and creating things, you don't want to say, well, if that happens, because you just canceled out your manifestations. You don't want to say, well, what if? Because what about that? What you just talked about, saying what if? So is that creating like a mirror, like what you're talking about?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about that, but like,
Creating like little poof things, like little what if, what if, what if, like these
well,
little.
I think there's a way to use that positively as well. So I
Okay.
read one book called Affirmations, and it was kind of talking about instead of giving like commands, it's kind of like giving open-ended statements like, what if I lost 10 pounds? Or what if I, like, and that can kind of open up the way the subconscious mind works to kind of start doing a transgenerational search for like information of how could I do that? It almost was problem solving for how could I lose 10 pounds? Like instead of I'm going to lose 10 pounds tomorrow, like your mind's like, no, you're not. Like, and it knows you're lying and then it doesn't trust you as much. So I think there is an art to doing that, but it's something you would have to figure out how to do in a way that's not doing what you're talking about, which is canceling because you're always being wishy-washy about everything. Because
Right.
and a lot of it is somatic as well. So it's like acting as though it's true, right? So
Yeah.
if you go every day and you say, I'm beautiful and I deserve love and everything, and then you go out with a jerk on Friday night and say, well, he's not that bad. And you know what I mean? Well, it's like you're not acting like a high value person. You're compromising in the meantime, saying, well, I'm going to start acting like I have value when my values shown to me. That's not going to work. That's going to block. Like you have to already act like, why would I settle for less? Or, you know what I mean? Without going into this other fake version of it being taught where it's like being a narcissist where you're like, I'm a princess. I deserve everything. And I'm an 11. And they kind of teach this too, right? This over
Right.
exaggerated narcissism, which is again an unrealistic, kind of pumping up of this false, self that's just not, you see this on, Instagram and everything, right? Where it's just this, it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
well, no, why wouldn't you just get yourself to a 7? Like, that's pretty great. I don't like, why does it have to be, you know, this extreme? You know what I mean?
Well, it's setting yourself up to fail, first of all. Second, I will say this. Last year, like I had been working so hard on because I had to go back on treatment back in January 2022. So I'd been working so hard and I gained 50 pounds of inflammation weight and it would not come off. And I was balancing the adrenals. I was doing everything. I had done everything. And I was like, you know what? I've had it. And I commanded the weight to come off 1 to 2 pounds a week. And when I did this, it started coming off 1 to 2 pounds a week. And this was last November. And I weighed myself today and I'm 144.8. So I have just like less than 9 pounds to go to get back to 135. So, and I've been slowly losing that inflammation weight. It takes a while to get the inflammation weight off because it's inflammation weight. I wasn't sitting around eating ice cream and
Oh,
cookies
I
and
thought you said information weight, and I was like,
oh
how come
no.
I don't get that from reading books?
Yes, I was
Like,
scrolling up
I
a
should be
word.
obese then if it's information weight. What is that?
No,
Sorry. Okay,
I'm sorry,
inflammation weight.
inflammation weight. So, inflammation weight is like where my body was just so inflamed with, from being on treatment and everything being out of whack. It was awful. And I was just so swelled up and I couldn't get it off. And it was like it would kind of go off and then I would like put on 10 more pounds. And I'm like, what the hell? So, but finally, it started all going down. It just takes a while. And I think that's what people get frustrated too with like healing. They don't see instant results because of the conditioning of Western medicine, where we were taught you go to the doctor, you get a pill, and it's fixed. We've been we have been bombarded for our whole lives with, shots and chemtrails and in the water and in our food and, just from everywhere. And so now we're having to literally take everything away, peel everything away, and heal ourselves from inside out. And you're having to heal yourself as well. So Commanding work
Yeah,
sometimes.
I think too with like we're so conditioned to instant gratification, and even to connect it back to quantum theory, like in our time space in this third dimension, in this third dimension, there is a delay between cause and effect. It's not instant. And so not only does that skew the cause and effect because it's not always obvious, like you see the effects that you can't relate it to the cause or vice versa, but also people take actions, and if they don't get an automatic reaction, they assume that there wasn't an effect from their cause, and so that skews so much of people's behavior, and they really promote that through social engineering, right? So a lot of things do take time, and I mean, some things you're planting seeds and they come to fruition like 10 years later, you know what I mean? But it's keeping that in mind to always act with integrity, because it's like
Mhm.
there is a time there is a time space delay, like on a quantum level there really is. Like that's part of the game we're in, is the delay between cause and effect,
But
so
I
it's
will
something to keep
say
in mind.
this too, that the art of manifesting is your actions, your words, your thoughts, your beliefs, and your intentions all have to be in sync. That that's really hard to do, but I will give you an example of a couple of times where I've been able to do that. So there was a lady that she had this 12-pound strawberry quartz rock. I wanted that rock. I was like, that rock is mine. I was going to buy it from her, and then she decided she was going to have a contest. So I was like, that rock's mine. I claimed that rock. I believed that rock was mine. I put the action in and the intentions in to make that rock mine. And, um, I won the contest. That 12-pound quartz, strawberry quartz got mine. So then last year, same thing. A friend of mine had, she had this pillow. It was one of those PEMF pillows or whatever. They're very pricey. I would never buy
Mm-hmm.
one myself. But she was having a contest, and I was like, I need that pillow in my life. And so I did everything she asked to enter the contest, and I won the pillow. So I'm when everything is in sync, you will receive what you're putting forth. But we don't do that with other things because we have fear. Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
it may not happen. Or, we cancel ourselves out all the time, or other people will cancel us out because we make the mistake of telling our manifestations to others. Well, I hope that happens for you. Oops, that person just canceled out your manifestation. So you can quickly say cancel, cancel, cancel to what they said, and that will help. But you need to keep your manifestations to yourself. You need to keep a lot of stuff to yourself and not tell people what you're doing. When you're doing all of this inner work, when you're working on yourself, you will notice that you start to become a hermit and
Yeah,
start
yeah,
staying,
I'm already there.
yeah, you start staying close to home. But I was a hermit, but then like I become a monk in the last like four years. Like I just totally became like I went even deeper, and with going back on treatment and then like going deeper because I was like I need to do more soul work, because you never stop working on yourself. I don't care how evolved you think you are, grounded or whatever. You never stop doing the soul work. You never stop working on yourself. You're always working, always, and continuing to grow, continuing to learn, because there's always someone that is higher vibration than you, who has more knowledge than you that you can learn from. And I'm
Mhm.
always saying, bring like-minded souls to me that are on my vibration or higher to learn from, work with, be friends with, because I'm like you. I'm a sponge where I always want to learn. I want to continue gaining knowledge and expanding the knowledge I have. So,
Right. Something I sort of had to learn about myself with playing around with all this stuff is I would send really contradictory messages out. So I'd send out like yes and no for something at the same time. And so I kept getting like a distorted kind of, like I'd get it, but it was broken, or like, you know what I mean? Like it was like, and
oh,
it became so clear to me. I'm like, okay, like what is going on? Because I can see it's actually working, but
yeah.
then it's not working. So it was, yeah. So there's that contradiction. And then like the stuff I've studied about mind control stuff is, how much is unconscious. And so a lot of the there's the denial or not being consciously aware of actually what your emotions and what's in your subconscious, and you're actually creating from the subconscious while you're consciously creating, have an intent consciously, you have a contradictory one unconsciously. And so again, it gets like even more complicated when you start to see the results of that, because you're like, well, I, in my mind, it was so clear that it was just a straight line, and it's so something else to consider too. And then what I was saying about giving those extreme affirmations, sometimes you can use that if you do it on purpose. Like you can say, you can even try it right now. Like if you just say, um, you know, I have perfect credit, right? Like what's the first thing that came to your mind? Oh, except for that one credit card. Like it's, your mind will pop up the exact thing that tells you that you're exaggerating, right? So
Right.
that's information. You can still use that. You can say, oh, okay, so now you can work with that. You can say, I need to work through this, right? Because it's that, so you can use the technique to find the contrast, is as long as you're doing it on purpose instead of trying to just lie to yourself that you have perfect credit or whatever it is, right?
Right. But like when you're doing the inner soul work, you're doing that inner healing, all of that will build your self-confidence. It will build your self-esteem. That build your self-worth. All of that, it helps you believe. I don't know about using that word, but like, it helps you become what you're saying. So it's true. And then I think it works with your subconscious. And then your energy it matches all around. It's balanced.
Yeah, and your subconscious, like it really, you need to build a relationship with it, really.
Yeah.
Don't try to dominate it or program it or tell, like it's pretty sensitive. Like you know what I mean? It's like a clam. Like if you try to poke at it, it just like it needs to feel safe. And this is
Right.
something that I've just learned from studying mind control and stuff, is like you can't force stuff on your subconscious. Like it needs to feel respected, safe, and it wants to tell you stuff, but it needs to feel like you're listening, and it needs to trust you. So if it tries to tell you something and you say, oh, shut up, I don't care, then it doesn't really want to tell you stuff again. Whereas if you listen, then it feels like it can keep. So you kind of need to build this relationship with your own subconscious mind. And not only do people, it's not good to lie to yourself because it makes your own subconscious mind not trust you, but like keeping your word. Like if you say, don't say you're going to do stuff you're not going to do, because your subconscious mind is keeping a tally of all that, right? So if it's never going to believe you that you're going to do something big, if it doesn't even believe you that you're really going to get up at 7 when you say you're going to get up at 7. Like just if you don't know if you're going to get up at 7, don't say, oh, I will. Like just say, well, I might, I don't know. But if you say you're going to do something, really do it, because it's stuff like that trains your subconscious mind to actually trust your word, trust that you're going to do what you say. And also acknowledging whatever information it does give you, like being thankful, because it's hard to get stuff out of our mind. Like it's
Oh
part
yeah.
of the human condition that we don't have access to everything. So if it ever is trying to tell you something, like even just jotting it down in a book, if it seems irrelevant or whatever, it really is showing, okay, I've heard you. It's important. I wrote it down. You know
Right.
what I mean? I'm not judging. I'm not judging. Like, and
Right.
this is for people trying to have, like a lot of times it's somatic or whatever, but it's like just acknowledging any effort that your mind is giving you information really encourages it to give you more. And then you're not in duality with yourself, right? You can start to be congruent with yourself consciously.
Right. So would you say that your subconscious is your higher self?
No, I think that's something else. Like from the perspective I look at it, as from like mind control programming, dissociative identity disorder, and like people having basically like their mind walled off to the conscious parts of their minds in compartments. So I wouldn't say, it's kind of complicated to answer that question, but like I don't think all your subconscious mind. I mean, you have other stuff in there that's not your higher self. It's a lot of things. The higher self is, in my opinion, your spirit, and more the soul, but like that would be the whole soul above a lot of stuff that can be in the subconscious mind. So there can be stuff in between in the subconscious mind. And this is where, evil programmers are putting stuff in. It's right between your higher self and your subconscious. So that's, you got to be careful not to like make an oracle of your subconscious either, because a lot of these techniques, you know, there's a way to use them where they can be beneficial, but your subconscious mind takes everything literal, takes everything as true, and records everything. So if you get information out of it, that information is there. You should trust that it's there. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's true, though. It just means that your mind's recorded it as true. So it's like knowing the difference of that, because sometimes people think when they're working with a pendulum or doing body code or something that like, oh, I got a yes, then it's, but it's like, well, yes, that means the yes is in your subconscious, but you don't know necessarily how it got there or why, or like it's not the be all end all answer. So you can't really be like, you just have to be really careful, right? Of knowing what you're accessing.
Well, I this is where like where when I teach people, because like when you do this soul work, okay, when you do the inner work, it will help you uncover your gifts. But you also like when you're working with the pendulum or something, this is when I tell people when they're trying to get in touch with what gifts they have. The the pendulum or even using your gifts, like when I do readings or whatever, it's I I explain it like this. When I'm doing a reading, I always protect my energy every day, but it's not me. I step to the side. I channel directly from source. So, my higher self is connected to source. I'm channeling directly from source when I'm doing readings, when I'm working with the pendulum. So the pendulum cannot read my mind, and don't allow it to read my mind because you're not getting an accurate answer that way. People don't understand that because it will when you're using a pendulum. If you want that pendulum to say yes and you're not grounded, you're not healed, you're going to get the answer that you're wanting to hear.
Or
It
it can be a false belief that's giving you a yes, which means it
Yes,
is a yes, but that doesn't mean it's true. So it's, yeah,
exactly.
it's a little more complicated.
It can be, and people they and I feel like people think I'm just spinning tails or whatever, but it's very accurate. So I'm glad that you brought that up. The other thing I wanted to talk about too is like with the power of like the clothing you wear. So, like with words, like, whenever I'm wearing shirts, like this shirt today says she is strong. So, any of the shirts I wear, and I bought like a bunch of, I have to wear all cotton now because of my frequency and stuff, but it's anything else breaks me out in a rash. It's crazy. I've been cleaning out everything. And so, the power, if you're working on yourself and you're manifesting and you're saying all these powerful things, and then you wear a shirt that says something like, for instance, I don't know why this one's coming to head, but like I saw somebody had like, I'm a bitch, or, like some, just, I saw this the other day
No,
and
I know there's a lot of stuff like that out there.
you know,
It's like, yeah, I
like
know what you're
10
talking
years
about.
ago, I would have thought that was funny. There even was a popular song years ago, and I was like, oh, yeah, I like that song, But songs too, like when you're singing these songs, your energy, your subconscious is taking all of this in. So that's why I say you have to be so careful with what you read, what you listen to, what you watch, because when you're working on yourself, it's like you have to shut everything out so that you can totally become like who you are, like what you're working on, what you are to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I struggle with that too because I am really sensitive. Like I can't sit there and watch horror movies and be dissociative. Like I'm just like like I feel every cut of the night. Like you know what I mean? So I don't sit around and watch that stuff. Like I've been at people's houses where I'm like I can't, I gotta go. Like I'm not sitting here actually watching this. But at the same time, I study really dark stuff. But I think it's in a different part of my brain because I'm reading it.
Mhm.
And I've conditioned myself to be able, and this just comes from doing social work and stuff, where it's like I'm dealing with child abuse, I'm dealing with it. Like you just have kind of a part of your brain that's like doing what needs to be done without getting all really emotionally involved in everything. Not that you don't care, but like you can't function that way. So you have just a part of your brain that kind of, again, is a type of almost like a soldier where you're like, okay, this is what needs to happen. This is the mission. Like I'll think about the emotions later when I get home, I'm safe, right? I'm not when I'm going into the mission, right? Um, so I can read really dark stuff because it's part of my soul mission to do that. And that's something I have to do. But then I try to balance it too. Like I will read like health books after or healing books, like something just positive and that's not, just reading accounts of abuse and stuff like that. But for people to watch it for entertainment or something, like even when people watch videos on YouTube of like people hurting themselves and stuff, like I'm like, I can't watch this stuff. Like I don't know why you even
I
want to.
feel
Like
it.
it just I'm a different breed. Like I'm like I don't see what like why you would even want to watch somebody like fall off their bike and bang their head. Like I just don't understand that at all. Like what somebody would enjoy watching that. I don't get it. Like
I think because like people have become numb to all of that. They've it's another conditioning.
And it's like funny to them or something. And I'm like, I don't, or horror movies or, I don't see, I've never got it, what people are getting out of it.
I had a friend years ago who like if it's something that's true, if it's something that's based on actual stuff, I can watch it if it's truth. If there's truth to it, I can't watch it. But it can't be too gory or anything because if it is, I can't watch it. Like but it's just it depends on what it is. I will tell you this: I watch Supernatural, but I watch it more to study it because it's pretty much tells you what's happening in the world right now. So I will watch that. But there's certain episodes I won't watch. I'll skip over because they're too gory or they're too whatever. But there was a friend that told me you had to be she said you have to be careful with like horror movies and different things because there's satanic stuff in them and
Oh,
you
yeah.
be careful so that you don't even realize
Well,
that's
and you become dissociative. Like a lot of times when people are watching that stuff, they shut off the empathic part of their brain
yeah
to like, you know what I mean? Um, and that's actually when your subconscious is open, and they do that on purpose. So they'll show something really graphic that's like opening up your root chakra and putting you in kind of a shock state, like which is why they pair, like
yeah
sex and violence or something like that, like really reptilian brain stuff. And then once they do that, you kind of have to dissociate to continue watching. You almost kind of put a shield. Okay, I'm just watching a movie. And then that's actually when you're really programmable. And so I find all that stuff really dangerous. And I'll just add pornography to that as well as very similar. Like it does this very similar, like it's a programmable state, which I've
yeah
done a few podcasts about pornography, like really trying to explain that to people, like how programmable you actually are. You are in a hypnotized trance and you are completely wide open to having stuff put in your subconscious. And so I do guard my mind quite carefully in that way. I prefer to have books because I feel like I'm in control of a book. I can read the page. If it's something, I can stop when I need to. I'm not just going to get kind of visually, bombarded with something I wasn't expecting to see, because that's happened to me a few times where I'm watching something and all of a sudden something so horrific was there without even a chance before I saw it. And I thought, I didn't really consent to this. I wasn't expecting to see. And now I have, and now I'm traumatized. And I
yeah
felt really violated that I didn't have any warning that was coming to decide if I wanted to see it or not. So I think with books, there's another level of control to not have that trauma done to you.
yeah I agree. All right, Jaymee, so anything else that you can think of to say or talk about before we start taking questions?
No, I mean, I'm good for questions. I feel like we're just kind of going all over, but it's fun.
Is it? So who
Kind of how
has
my brain works anyways. So
I know my brain goes all over the place too. Who
you
has
listen and talk at the same time too. And I know it's hard on Zoom, but some of my girlfriends like will literally be talking and listening at the same time. And people are like, how can you do that? I'm like, we're just both in fast forward, but we're both actually still really listening. And it's like a
yeah
weird thing. I could tell you'd probably be like that too.
yeah I do I can I'm better than I used to not like a long time ago. No, I wouldn't have been able to do any of this because my brain like with the Lyme and all of that it was really bad. I couldn't do talk I couldn't even hold conversations. It was you would have to ask one question and give me time to respond, and it may take me 5 minutes to respond. So it was really bad. But now, like, I have a notepad, so I will write things down, like when you're talking, and I get like, "Ooh, I have a thought," and I write down what I want to say, and so it triggers. Because otherwise, I feel like my brain's like yours. It goes really, really fast all the time. And so I'll have a thought and then like, ooh, I have another thought and then I have another thought and and I want to make sure I say all those thoughts. So it's been a good conversation. We've had a lot of good thoughts. Who has some questions? I know we have questions. I always have to do this. Who has questions? I have to start calling on people.
Is there people there? I just can't
Yeah,
see anything here. Oh, okay. Oh, gee, I just put on gallery. Looks like there's
yeah,
quite a few people.
yeah. You have quite a good audience today, Jaymee. And we've had people popping in and out. So,
I
because
actually love questions. I think if I ever start my own show, I just want to do like a call in talk show where
I
because
know
that's just how I am. Like my head's just so I'm like, just call in and ask me questions. It's kind of fun for me. Like
most of the time people are um they're kind of shy at first, but once we get rolling, once somebody just asks one question, then we
I
get all.
think Kristen's mic is unmuted.
Yeah, hi. I don't know what's happened to my lighting. I haven't changed it, but it's gone funny. Sorry about that. Um, I'm just interested to hear more about the difference between the soul and the spirit. Like, I still don't have a full understanding of what the difference is. If you could elaborate a bit.
Did you want to answer first, Angie, or?
Well, I think like Jaymee has more of a scientific approach to it than I do. I I understand what she's saying with the subconscious mind. For me, I I feel like the soul and the spirit are the same thing. It's your higher self. Your higher self, like you know how Rachel Vaughn teaches about your aura, right? So your aura is what's left over of the soul coming into the body. And your auroric field, because your auroric field can go way out of the body. That's what's left over from the soul coming into the body. Your higher self is your soul as well, because it's what doesn't fit into the body, but it's your higher self. When you have to work on connecting to your higher self as well. We're disconnected from our higher self, so that takes the work from like doing the inner work, the inner soul work, and healing yourself. You work on connecting to your higher self, so you have to meet your higher self first, which you do that through meditation. You meet your higher self, and then you can work on like connecting to your higher self, staying connected to your higher self. Then how I envisioned it years ago was um, like when I met my higher self, it was like a gingerbread cutout. It was all gold, and my higher self hugged me, and then I was it always was there in meditations when I did meditations, and it I was like, okay, I have to stay, how can I stay connected to my higher self, or how can I connect? So I imagine myself, my higher chakras being connected to the feet of that gingerbread cutout, and of the higher self. So the higher self was a gingerbread man, whatever. So I was imagining my higher chakras being connected to the feet, and I was like imagining myself just like swinging, like hanging from the feet of my higher self. And then I just each meditation I did, I was merging my chakras. All of my chakras were like I was merging myself with my higher self, connecting to source directly. And then it just became like one great big flow of gold light from source down through my higher self, down into me. I don't know if that makes sense. And it took me a little while to do it, but the gingerbread cutout just became gold light that was connected to source's gold light that just came down into me. So, and I'm connected all the time, and I have been. I started that back in 2019. So, and it probably took me Hmm, I don't know, a few months to do it, working on it like every day to get myself to stay. Because there'd be times where I'd be like, ooh, I don't feel connected. So I'd have to work on getting myself connected again, reconnected. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. I think one of the things I've worked with, even in relation to intuition and that sort of thing, is self-doubt. When those doubting thoughts come in that, oh, I can't really do this, or I can't really connect with that, and I'm not evolved enough, or whatever, to ignore that. What I've learned to do is ignore those thoughts, and just accept that it's true, accept that I I I'm already connected. I don't have to, change anything. I mean, this is a bit off the difference between soul and spirit, but it just came to me while you were talking, Angie, about self-doubt and how that's one of the self-sabotaging things that happens. And so, yeah, part of my journey has been to not believe or not listen to the self-sabotaging thoughts, to just go, yeah, they're just part of the old program, and it's not the truth. And this is possible for me, as part of
I would
um,
say release the self doubt, release it and transmute it, and then say your affirmations, because the self doubt can be trapped in the body. in your inner
Right. Well, so letting go, releasing, or ignoring.
Ignoring's not good though.
Yeah,
Ignoring,
that's just denial. Won't
yeah.
work.
Ignoring's not good.
That's a good clarification. So then releasing, how do you do the releasing then? Do you
You would say, I
write it?
release all self-doubt fully and permanently from my body, mind, heart, and soul in peace, love, and light. And then you would say you would say that 3 times, and then you would say whatever the opposite is of self-doubt to you, and say that 3 times, and then say the whole thing 3 times, and that would be releasing and refilling in the moment. Because if you're just having self-doubt, but if you're having self-doubt, see, what people don't understand either is like an emotion, if you put an emotion in, if you imagine emotion in a, like the sun, when a little kid draws the sun and they draw all of the, the rays of the sun, each one of those rays, if you put the emotion of fear in that circle, each one of those rays is caused by or connected to something or someone. So you may release fear 25 times, 100 times, but it's caused by and connected to something different each time. So because you have a whole bunch of things that's happened in this life, you have things that it's happened in past lives. So doing that inner work though can release it. And when I've been working with people this year particularly, I've been noticing people are healing very quickly. They're releasing very quickly with the consciousness rising. I mean, I am noticing like people's heart wall. You have a heart wall where you have you build up emotions around your heart, and people have had, I mean, you get high numbers with these heart walls, 3,500, 7,500. I've had a couple of clients where they went from 1,100 down to 200 in a week. That's unheard of. Like I've not had that before. I've had people where it's taken them 2 or 3 months to do that. People are bringing their heart walls down in like 4 or 6 weeks time from high numbers. This is crazy. Your heart is, you can feel, it's like your first brain. You feel the energy out 6 feet. So like when you walk into a room and you can feel the energy of the room, or when you meet someone and you can feel how they are, this is your heart. It's called heart math. So you can feel that, but you can't when you have all of these trapped emotions around your heart. So when you break that heart wall down, you get it down to 0, you don't have a heart wall anymore. That's when your heart and mind become in alignment, or you work on getting your heart and mind in alignment. That's where I think and I feel start becoming the same thing. So most people separate those things. I think is one thing, I feel is another. But when you can say I think and I feel and it means the same thing to you, that means your heart and mind are in alignment. But it takes the inner work to do that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of self-doubt is irrational, and it's decided from a child's part or in childhood and never questioned. And so a lot of times, instead of trying to just deny it or override it with an affirmation, it's like really sitting down and thinking about, if you can, it's good if you can figure out where it came from and then look at it. But like even to like depersonalize it a bit and be like, like, could this really be true for anybody, that anybody like can never win, or like that's just not even probably mathematically possible, right? So like sometimes just even working through it like that, being like, this is actually an irrational self-doubt, because like even according to math and probability, like there has to be some chance of something good happening to me at some time, as it would be for any person born in this world. Like, so saying like nothing good could ever happen to me is an irrational belief. But those are the kind of beliefs we have, right? Because a little 5-year-old decided that when they didn't get the toy they wanted, nothing good ever happens to me. And then that's the doubt that comes up in your adult mind. And so if you can work through some of that stuff, a lot of it's actually really ridiculous and funny when you really actually sit down and realize, like, I can't believe I've been acting as though this is true my whole life. And it's like not even possible to be true.
It's interesting too when people start doing the work, because some people that they had, serious stuff happen, like maybe a parent died at a certain age, maybe when they were 8 or 9 years old, and when they get down to where they're hitting that part in their healing, where they're getting to that part of the onion or that part of their soul roots, they start acting that age of where that trauma is,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really interesting, and they recognize it. even, being an adult or whatever, but it doesn't last long. It's just while they're working through it. But it's amazing. The body keeps score. The body
And
keeps.
trauma is frozen in time because the subconscious is outside of time. And this can really blow your mind if you start thinking about the time travel and the
Yeah.
subconscious and quantum stuff, because even trauma is stuck outside of time, but then it can come to the present, like in that child part coming to the now when you put your consciousness on it. So it was almost like an internal time travel in yourself, right? Like it's really weird stuff to think about, but it's really real.
Yeah. I like all that stuff, Jaymee. It's
Me too. But sometimes I can't even really. I'm like, I just have to have a
I
nap to
know.
let this all
When
soak
you
in. I don't know if it's
start
totally all.
going too deep with it, like your brain really starts to hurt with it because you're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did we answer your question, Kristen?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm curious to hear Jamie's perspective on the difference between soul and
Yeah,
spirit.
I kind of look at it differently. I've read a lot of books, and I know there's kind of some of it's just semantics or terminology, or one person's calling the same thing a soul or a spirit, and those words get interchangeable. And so, wading through what people actually mean by that, the way I think of it now is spirit is kind of more generic. Like spirit is like all and everything and animating everything, and it's not a personal individuated expression of spirit. It's spirit, which we all have, and that's kind of coming down from God, because God is spirit. And then when you start to have an individual soul, which is spirit filled, but when it's the individuation of it which makes it go into the zone of the soul. And so there's a higher part of your soul, which is your higher self, more connected to God, because it's not down in your like lower nature self. And then kind of somewhere in between that is the personality. So like your emotions, your will, and your mind. And then there's another layer of that, which is like the subconscious that's unavailable to your mind. So like that's where a lot of programming can be. And and then if you get into kind of the esoteric occult side of it, like when people are astral traveling and stuff, it's like they're kind of putting their soul under the direction of their mind. And so it's like there's a different part that's controlling another part of it, which people have figured out how to do that kind of stuff. Like it's under their own individuated self is controlling it, instead of it being the opposite way, where that's controlling their personal self from the subconscious. So it gets a kind of complicated. And I think, again, a lot of it's just terminology where people are actually talking about the same thing using different words. But that's kind of how I look at it at this point from everything I've read. And that sort of makes the most sense to me to visualize it that way.
Thank you.
That kind of is the same, because if you look at it that way, like we're all one. We all come from God. So it makes sense what you're saying.
And that's why somebody's spirit can be in one place, but like they might still be like a jerk in their personality. And you're like, well, how can you be like, maybe you do things that are good in spirit, but like there's a kind of another layer of it where it's actually kind of separate, where you're like, your personality is kind of still needs some work, even though maybe your spirit's in the right place. It's not really trickling down. That's kind of how I see it sometimes. Like because that personality is a part that can really be programmed, right? That part of the soul that's kind of the lower part can really be programmed like into, well, I mean, we're all kind of programmed and we auto program ourselves, and we're programmed by culture and stuff, but like, it's a lot of that is not it's not our higher self, right? It's that area kind of just below it. And a lot of it is subconscious.
Even go further with it and say, when you incarnate, that whatever your purpose is for coming here, it could be totally different. Like what you're saying, there's your spirit is a certain way, but the soul is something, the personality is behaving differently, because that's what the soul's lesson is supposed to be this time. So like, I mean, there's all different ways that you can go with this, and sit down and like make a big, like a mind mapping thing.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Angie. Yeah, it's and this is like from a Christian perspective, like it's like God loves the actual spirit and stuff of people, not the actions and the sin, right? And so if somebody is saved under Christ, then like their spirit's in Christ, but they could still go to church and be a total jerk, because it's their personality is like, that's not the part that is in that other realm, right? Like, so to me it's kind of separate, and I didn't always think of it that way. It was actually just in the last couple of years that I really started to give thought to kind of like the layers of that, and it does really have to do with the individuation and the programming. And yeah, so and a lot of occult practices are attempting to manipulate that, right? And that's a part they're trying to manipulate in us, like, because a lot of they can't actually touch the spirit, like that is beyond, like they can try to trap the soul like within a construct, but not the spirit actually isn't. I don't think they can. I mean, some people say they have technology they're trying to, but they actually can't. So I think of it.
I was talking with Max Lowen the other day, and she was saying something about, and I don't want to misquote her or anything, because she was saying something about the reason why it's so hard for us to manifest and all of that is because of the stuff that they do. They have technology that we're not even aware of, that they mess with us. So there's maybe, do you know anything about that?
Well, and I think a lot of like with, and just to go fully conspiracy here, but like with a lot of the programming that's technological or frequency based, that is actually not, you're not consciously recognizing it. Although some more sensitive people physically recognize it, you're not actually like able to read the information. They are, it is kind of that causal plane is in the soul and in the lower end of it, right? Because that's what drives a lot of people's behavior. And so that's actually where a lot of their technology is aimed at, where you don't realize, because it's actually kind of in the back door of your consciousness that's not reaching like to your conscious awareness and is not your higher self. It's kind of in the lower side of the soul. But yeah, the technology is definitely aimed there for sure.
Anything else, Kristen?
Well, just what Jaymee said earlier about acting as if, and I just a comment that acting as if it's true. And I've just noticed for myself that if I'm feeling a bit flat or something like that, and I just smile, I'm just at home by myself, I just smile, I can feel the change that makes in my mentality and in my body as well. Like it's a definite positive change.
Yeah.
And it's not a real, I'm not smiling at anything. I'm just, decide, I'll just smile and change my state sort of thing. And it works. Like I feel the difference just doing something so simple.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a comment.
The energy of it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Who else has a question? Start calling on people. Mark, do you have a question? Holly? Sanjean? Angel Kim? Mac? Who else has a question?
I don't have a question. I just want to say, I mean, I had to wake up early to be here because I wanted to see
Well, thank
Jaymee.
you.
And yeah, so I really appreciate what you do for SRA survivors. And so I wanted to say to thank you for what you do. And also I resonate with everything what you guys said about the time change and then consciousness rising. And so basically I kind of woke up last year to this reality through the SRA survivors testimonies and stuff. So it's like the world is so evil than I ever actually imagined. And so I kind of then I could piece, puzzle piece all together. It's like the things that didn't make sense to me before kind of made sense to me because of their testimony. So it was kind of really it was very rude awakening. At the same time, it was like, I didn't have any other options. So also I had recently I had some kind of remote viewing experience through the meditation. It never ever happened to me. But I don't know if I actually like that, but I had this remote viewing of experience of Vatican and with the satanic rituals. I didn't want to see it. I didn't ask to see it, but I just like something came to me. Just I was just seeing something that's horrible. And so, and the Max actually sort of you know, backed up. That's what I saw as it was actually real. And so it's like really um so things do change. I don't know where we are going. I think we are going to be better. And yeah, and then so yeah, anyway, so I just want to say that, with what with Jaymee does, also Angie, I know you're there, so I feel like kindred spirit, something like that. And she's, you're also my teacher as well. And yeah, I just want to say thank you for what you do, you too. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Kitty.
You can if there's something of your gifts that's coming out that you're not comfortable with, you can ask for that to not happen. So if you don't want to have remote viewing happen, if you don't want to see things like that, you can just ask God. You can ask your guide. You can say, I don't want to see that. I don't want that to happen because you know with when you see spirits, if they show themselves to you how they died and you don't want to see that, then you can say, I don't need to see how you passed away. You can, if you're okay with them coming to you, you can say, yes, I'm comfortable with you coming to me, but don't show me how you died. I don't need to show that, or I don't want to feel how you died. Or you can state exactly how you want your gifts to come through. But if you're not comfortable with that, you can clearly state that. And then if you
Yeah,
get
that's
comfortable with it later, you can, I'm sorry, Jaymee.
no, go. Are you finished? Sorry, I thought you were done.
If you get more comfortable with it later, where you're like, I think I would be okay with that, but here's my conditions. Like, I don't want to see anything graphic. I don't want to see anything, just allow me to see what is only pertinent for me to see, what I need to see. Sorry, Jaymee.
I was just
Thank you.
curious,
Yeah.
Katie.
Yeah.
Like, did you how did you feel when that was happening? Did you feel like it was yourself being curious and wanting to go see, and it was voluntary, or did you feel like you were being pulled out and against, like, how I'm actually really curious, like, why that happened to you, if you
Yeah,
weren't
I
trying
mean,
to
I
get
was
away.
kind of in the middle of meditation, and I think that I was seeing how Max was kind of talking in the Instagram about, she was trying to reveal what happened in the Vatican, right? So probably that thought came to me. Then I saw the, like sort of on the it looks like underground. It's kind of like dim lights, dark, pretty dark. And then and yeah, and then these 10 babies were getting killed. And then anyway, so I'm not going to explain everything. So and then so what was actually how did my mind work?
Was it
Um
like a vision, or was it like you were there, like your consciousness was pulled there? That's what I'm kind of trying to figure out,
Was it
how
like
you're
a
explaining it.
movie playing?
yeah, yeah, it
In,
was like a movie. I was kind of there, but they didn't see me, but I was there. I was I
Hmm.
was I was I
that's
was
your
seeing the current pope. He was just bathing in the blood, right? And it was like, oh gosh, what am I seeing? And then I was like, oh no. And then um it's like I was like, I don't want to see this, right? I was just pull myself out. Like I don't want to see this. And then I couldn't go back to the meditation for a couple of weeks. Because I didn't know how to handle this. And then I think Max said something about releasing, praying for the children that I saw, and I did. So I was kind of praying to God that, I don't want that conclusion, I want the conclusion to change. So I was like praying, please, I was kind of imagining that, freeing them and, pull them out. The babies are kind of babies being alive again. And then just in my that's my it was not a remote viewing. It was just that I know that I was just imagining, trying to create the another reality. So
Like you saw a
like trying to
timeline.
save them. Yeah, I mean, yeah, something like that. So and then I was like, okay, this is the conclusion I want. I want them all be okay, right? And so release them, and then give them happiness and whatever. So I kind of pray for them. And then I felt relieved. I felt like, oh, I wasn't carrying that anymore. So I don't know why I saw it though. It's a very good question. I don't know. I don't have the answer.
I know when
Mm.
I listen to like people like Max or Rachel when they tell stories or anyone, if I will see it play in my third eye like a movie, and that's how I know it's true. It's truth. So what you were seeing, if you were seeing the present Pope, then you were seeing truth to her story, but you were seeing it with the present Pope. So it's your third eye is open and you're receiving truth with the message, you're receiving a vision.
Yeah, I mean, ever since then, I can't see that guy, the Pope. I can't see him. I mean, just disgusting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
We know what Max says about all of them, so
Yeah,
but
I mean, I don't want to speculate on what it was. It's really interesting. And I've just, like I said, I've been reading a lot lately, on some of the super soldier timeline, like just putting consciousness on different timelines and potentials and kind of some of the stuff we talked about here. So it's kind of interesting that you bring that up, like what it might have been. But like just what comes to mind for me right off the top is like I just feel like you have some type of thing you're being called to do. Like maybe you weren't looking for it, but like you're definitely being drawn to this information, introduced to people, having yourself woken up, being shown things like I'm sure something is required of you and you're probably the only person that's going to know what is actually being asked of you, but like right now I think you're being kind of like prepped for what you're going to be asked to do, is what I would assume is happening to you, just from everything you've told me so far about your experience kind of getting even involved with this. Is like you're kind of being pulled onto the field, I think, and shown whatever and getting ready for what your contribution will be, which I don't know what that is, but
yeah. Thank you so much. I don't actually know what it is either. So yeah, somehow what Jaymee said sounds really true. Yeah, I'm getting prepared for something, but I don't know what that something is. So thank you.
thank you. Very interesting. Normally, like when you start receiving visions like that, um, your gifts are opening up. And you're right, Jaymee, you are being called for something. You're being called into what you're here to do. She just doesn't know what that is yet. So you'll know soon.
well, I'm pretty sure, and I think if I remember, Katie was a teacher, so like obviously she already cares about children and like
Yeah.
teaching and like what I mean. So her heart's already in a certain area, and I think maybe that's why you're being shown this and you actually care. And I just think I think you'll figure it out. But yeah, it's obviously you're getting kind of like as much as you can handle in enough. It just can't be all at once, and that kind of happened to me in my life too. Like I was given kind of little bits of stuff until I was able to comprehend and then sort of recognize what I need to do. It's kind of like a personal process, that you definitely consciously participate in, though. It's an invitation, right? It's like an asking. And so if you want to like go with it and be available and keep learning and keep asking like what is being asked of me, what can I do, how can I help, because everybody can, and nobody's like trained for this battle that we're in right now. Like we have our own little fires we're put through to like get us ready for stuff, but we all do have a very personal role, and we are born in certain ways with certain gifts and care about certain things, um and it might not be what you think. You know what I mean? And that's why I was kind of excited to do the show today, because it seems like me and Angie would have really different kind of backgrounds, but like we are ending up like in the same Telegram groups and resonating and talking. And it's like, so like everybody's kind of a really individual piece. You know what I mean? There's not like a prototype. It's not like the regular military where you de-individuate yourself and become, an automaton and just follow orders. It's like we're a different type of army where it's like you need to actually like design your own like what you're going to do and how you're going to do it and your contribution. And it's like there is an asking and there is something required that only you actually can do. Like you have a very, everybody has like a specific thing that like is the thing they can do that nobody else is going to do how they do, right? So it's like it's just a different mindset. But like even like the health stuff is so important. And I mean, look at what just happened in the last couple of years. Like I think a lot of people that were studying health didn't realize like that they were going to be called to be a soldier in a health, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
so whatever you're being prepared for, like it's something that I think it'll make more sense over time.
And I think that, like, we're all coming together, and we're all from different backgrounds. We all have different gifts. We all have different abilities. That doesn't make one of us better than the other one. It makes us all more powerful as we all use our gifts and we all work together. And we're all going to figure out that we have different gifts and abilities even as we grow and work together. We're going to be like, hey, I think I might be able to do that too. Can you teach me that? Or like, there's just, we're here to rid the earth of the evil. And we are doing that. But as more and more of you wake up, as more and more of you are figuring out what you're here to do, which is to save the children, which is to rid the earth of the evil and to raise the frequency, the more of you that do the inner work and heal, and you raise your vibration, you in turn raise the vibration of the world. And the evil can't stay. They can't hold on because their vibration's very low and their frequency is fear and anger and sadness and grief. And when you're raising up in a vibration that doesn't have those frequencies, they can't hold on. So, and we win. And it's not about winning, it's about preserving the future for the children. So, and saving them. They need saved. It's
Mm.
very frustrating that it's still happening. It's very angering. And that vision sound, I could see it as you were explaining it, Sunjin, and I thought,
Yeah.
I'm
Mm.
sure it's very frightening because it's, yeah. So,
Yeah, and yeah, it's just these freaking people. They for some reason the number was important too, like 10 babies and 10 young children
yeah,
and getting raped, and so it's like, well, what's up with number 10, you know? And then I'm like, yeah, um, yeah, we should change. We must change this reality, whatever this is, and why these things actually allowed in this universe. But we need to yeah, wipe that out. And yeah, I think it's I mean, all of you what you both said is actually so we are as a team, and soldiers don't fight alone, right? So we are the team wins,
yes,
not one person or two, right? So team wins. So I think that's why we need to, I think that's why I'm in that group chat. For whatever reason, I'm in the team. So it is.
yeah. That's a perfect way to say it. We're a team. We're all coming together and we're like a massive team. So, whew. Anyone else have a question? Dun, dun, dun. If not, we're going to wrap it up. Do you have anything else you wanted to add, Jaymee?
No, I feel like that was some food for thought
It
today.
was. It was a really good conversation. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's kind of unique, right? Like it was kind of a unique conversation. So I
It
think
was.
hopefully people got
I liked
something
it.
out of
We
it.
bounced all around and we talked about a lot of great things. And I have to have you back on because we can talk. I would like to dig more into the quantum physics stuff and get into that because I find that stuff fascinating.
Yeah, and yeah, I've actually been studying like Lyme just kind of more from a sociological conspiratorial
Ooh,
perspective. I know you have all the health information and I know you've had other guests on for a lot of stuff too, but I've been kind of I can connect it to the MK Ultra stuff. It's actually all
yeah.
connected. So I still have to do some more research, but I think that'll be probably a conversation that we could share some information on when I'm ready for that as well.
Yeah, 100%. Because, Julie Millay, she talked about doing the live roundtables and bringing in that aspect of it with the MK Ultra and having Doug and McIntyre and Rachel Vaughn come on too. So I would love to do that. I'd love to have you come on with that either separately or with them or both or whatever you'd like. So
Yeah, sounds good. Well, thanks for having me. It was really fun, and I haven't done a podcast in a while, so thank you for having me on. It was a good time.
Well, thanks everyone for being here today, to everyone that asked questions, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe. On June 17th, here in the US, June 18th in Australia, Rachel Vaughn will be back for our Prediction Live series. So make sure you tune in for that. If you want to join live, you can email me at theoracleblonde@gmail.com, and I will send you the Zoom link. So till next time, see you guys later.